The rain was coming down in sheets as I drove home, the wipers of my car working overtime. I was late, as usual, a consequence of the long hours I was putting in at the architectural firm. I loved my job, the challenge of designing spaces, of bringing blueprints to life. It was a passion, one that I shared with my wife, Isolde, a talented interior designer. We were a team both at work and at home. I pulled into the driveway of our house in Seattle, the familiar comfort of the place a welcome sight. The lights were on, casting a warm glow through the windows. I smiled, imagining Isolde inside, probably working on a new project or maybe just relaxing with a book. We had built a good life together, a life filled with love and laughter. I unlocked the front door and stepped inside, the scent of lavender and cedar filling my nostrils. "Isolde, I'm home," I called out, my voice echoing through the house. Silence. That was odd. She usually greeted me at the door, a warm hug and a kiss waiting. I shrugged it off, assuming she was engrossed in something. I walked through the living room, past the fireplace and the comfortable couches, towards the kitchen. That's when I heard it. A faint sound, muffled but unmistakable. A moan. A woman's moan. My heart skipped a beat. My blood ran cold. I stood frozen, my mind trying to rationalize what I was hearing. It couldn't be, not Isolde, not my wife. I crept towards the kitchen, my footsteps silent on the hardwood floor. The sound grew louder, clearer. It was coming from the bedroom, our bedroom. I reached the door, my hand trembling as I reached for the knob. I hesitated for a moment, a part of me wanting to turn away, to pretend I hadn't heard anything. But I couldn't. I had to know. I took a deep breath and pushed the door open. The sight that greeted me was like a punch to the gut. Isolde was in our bed, naked, entangled with another man. A man I knew. A man I considered a friend, Cuthbert. My colleague, my confidant, the guy I had drinks with every Friday. He was there in my bed with my wife. The world seemed to spin. My vision blurred. I felt a surge of anger, of rage, unlike anything I had ever experienced before. They didn't notice me at first, lost in their lustful embrace. But then Isolde opened her eyes and her gaze met mine. Her face drained of color, her eyes widening in horror. Cuthbert turned around, his expression shifting from pleasure to panic. He scrambled to cover himself, stammering apologies that I didn't hear. I stood there, speechless, paralyzed by the betrayal. The woman I loved, the woman I had vowed to spend my life with, was cheating on me. With my friend, how could you? I finally managed to choke out, my voice barely a whisper. Isolde started to cry, her body shaking with sobs. "Gareth, I can explain," she said, her voice trembling. "Explain." What was there to explain? I had seen it with my own eyes. The evidence was right there in front of me, a stark and brutal reality. "Get out," I said, my voice hardening. "Both of you, get out of my house." Cuthbert didn't need to be told twice. He grabbed his clothes and fled, disappearing into the night. Isolde remained, kneeling on the bed, her face buried in her hands. "Please, Gareth, don't do this," she begged, her voice muffled by her hands. "I love you. This was a mistake." A mistake. Was that what she called it? A momentary lapse in judgment. This was a betrayal of the deepest kind, a violation of our vows, of our love. "Get out, Isolde," I repeated, my voice cold and devoid of emotion. "It's over." She looked up at me, her eyes filled with tears. "Gareth, get out," I roared, my voice echoing through the house. She flinched, recoiling from my anger. She slowly got out of bed, her body trembling. She gathered her clothes and walked out of the room, her shoulders slumped with defeat. I stood there, alone in the bedroom, the silence deafening. The rain continued to fall outside, mirroring the storm that was raging inside me. My world had just been shattered, my heart ripped to shreds. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the living room, staring into the darkness, replaying the scene over and over in my head. The image of Isolde and Cuthbert together, their bodies intertwined, was seared into my memory. How could she do this to me? How could she betray me like this? I had loved her with all my heart, had given her everything. And this was how she repaid me. I thought about our life together, the years we had spent building our relationship, the dreams we had shared. All of it seemed like a lie now, a facade that had crumbled before my eyes. I knew I couldn't stay in that house, not with the memories that haunted every corner. I had to get away, to start over, to rebuild my life from the ashes. The next morning, I called a lawyer and filed for divorce. I packed a bag and left the house, leaving everything behind. I moved into a small apartment downtown, a temporary space while I figured out my next move. I threw myself into my work, using it as a distraction from the pain, but it was no use. The memories were always there, lurking in the shadows, waiting to pounce. I saw Cuthbert a few times at the office. He tried to apologize, to explain, but I refused to listen. I couldn't bear to be in the same room with him. He was eventually fired, his reputation ruined. His career was over, a consequence of his actions, but it didn't bring me any satisfaction. His downfall didn't ease my pain. Isolde tried to contact me to talk, but I ignored her calls and emails. I couldn't forgive her. The trust was broken, the love destroyed. I knew I had to move on, to find a way to heal. But it wasn't easy. The betrayal had left a deep scar, a wound that refused to heal. One evening, a few months after the divorce, I received a letter in the mail. It was from Isolde. I hesitated before opening it, unsure if I was ready to face her words. But curiosity got the better of me. I tore open the envelope and began to read. She wrote about her regret, her shame, her remorse. She admitted that she had made a terrible mistake, that she had hurt me deeply. She said that she understood if I could never forgive her, but she wanted me to know that she was truly sorry. She also revealed something that shocked me to my core. She was pregnant. With Cuthbert's child, my heart sank. The betrayal deepened. Not only had she cheated on me, but she was now carrying the child of the man she had betrayed me with. I felt a mix of emotions: anger, sadness, disgust. But beneath it all, I felt a strange sense of pity for her. She was now tied to Cuthbert for life, burdened with the responsibility of raising his child. I didn't respond to her letter. I didn't know what to say. What could I say? I continued to work on my projects, trying to find some semblance of normalcy in my life. One day, I got a call from a woman named Meredith. She said she was Cuthbert's wife and wanted to meet with me. I was hesitant but agreed. We met at a coffee shop. Meredith was a kind, intelligent woman. She told me she was divorcing Cuthbert and was devastated by his affair. We talked for hours, sharing our experiences, our pain, our anger. We found solace in each other's company, a shared understanding of the betrayal we had both suffered. We became friends, supporting each other through the difficult process of healing. Over time, my friendship with Meredith blossomed into something more. We found love again, a love built on trust, honesty, and mutual respect. We married a year later, surrounded by our friends and family. It was a small, intimate ceremony, a celebration of our new beginning. I never spoke to Isolde again. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she was struggling, raising her child alone. Cuthbert had abandoned her, leaving her to face the consequences of her actions. I didn't feel any joy in her misfortune. I had moved on, found happiness again. But I would never forget the pain she had caused me, the betrayal that had shattered my world. Life is full of surprises, both good and bad. Sometimes we are dealt a hand that seems impossible to overcome. But with courage, resilience, and a little bit of luck, we can find a way to heal, to rebuild, to find love again. The rain had stopped, and the sun was shining. As I looked out at the world, I knew that I was finally free.